bring in Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report. Bret, great to have you with us as we all continue to pour through these documents. Some of it readable, some of it, quite a bit of it actually, blacked out. What's your impression of what we're seeing here?
Well, I think a lot of what we've seen blacked out is obviously the meat of how they get to this raid. So as we feared, a lot of what we're seeing is not going to paint the picture of why they went in. I think there are a number of questions that come from these new documents. One is, when was this grand jury impaneled? It seems like it was impaneled long before the lead up to this raid, which means that there was this element of investigation that goes beyond just these documents. And perhaps it goes to other things like January 6th and perhaps other things. What we are seeing here in these documents are basically the outlines of what we assumed, that there was concern after the first 15 boxes of what they saw with the classified materials in those boxes, that there were other materials that they were concerned about at Mar-a-Lago, and that is what leads to the raid. But we don't have the meat of the decision making, and that is what this judge deferred to the DOJ to say, it's fine, you make the redactions, I'm okay with it, and that's where we are. I don't think it gives us a ton of new information.
Yeah, and I think that, that's the purpose designed. It was designed for that purpose, perhaps. And this Judge Reinhart, the magistrate in Florida, was criticized by Trump supporters initially for signing off on this raid in the first place. So then he says to the Department of Justice, okay, show them what you showed me to the greatest extent that you can, to try to shed some light on the reasoning for all of this. And so now we've got sort of this thing that's in the middle, Bret, that doesn't really satisfy the reason for going in, the justification for going in, or, but opens a whole lot of boxes where people will read into some of these lines along the way. There was an NBC legal analyst who basically said, look, you're better off not releasing any of this until you signify your next legal steps here. So now we're sort of in that middle ground based on this.
We're in limbo. We are in limbo when it comes to what the real reason is here. We're going to keep on digging through this, and there may be something around the edges that shows us a little bit more, but a lot of the meat of the explanation is entirely blacked out. And that's what we feared from the beginning. Their reasoning is that they are protecting witnesses that they say helped in the grand jury and they helped move this ball along. But why? What is the impetus for the action that they took? So we are back to square one. We know that there were classified materials. We know that they saw them in the first 15 boxes, that they believe that there were other materials, and then after the raid, they have a list of materials, and some of it the most classified that the U.S. has. And we are in the same circle that we have been since the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there is, a whole political side to all of this as well. It feels like first we need to get through the document side of it. And you make a good point about when this grand jury was impaneled. And this is what we don't know, because the department, there are at least 4 potential criminal investigations that are underway into the former president. 2 of them fall under the auspices of the Department of Justice. One is this NARA issue, the archive issue that was brought to the referred to the Department of Justice. The other is the January 6th investigation. And one of the things that we're all trying to figure out, as you just mentioned, Bret, is whether or not there's an intersection between the two. Whether or not this was an effort to dig for January 6th information is still a big outstanding question.
It really is. And I think Andy McCarthy has shed light on this before, that there's a belief that perhaps there was something bigger here that they were searching for, but the impetus for it was these classified documents and the possession of them. Even just the possession of them is a question, even though it's a former president. There's a lot here that we have to digest, the 1978 Presidential Records Act and how that affects all of this. We're going to dig in, but gosh, there's a lot of black.
But, Bret, it is a very Trumpian move to take all of this. We have this letter from the Department of Justice, just going through another part of it, that they previously indicated that they have seen where these documents are stored. They don't think it's secure enough. And they've asked for, we remember, another padlock to be put on it. So the big question that remains is why, right? Why was he holding on to these materials despite the fact that they continually asked for them? Why was there not an ability to make some sort of agreement about returning all of it that he could, sort of be at peace with? And then, the reporting that he sort of felt like, this is my stuff and I have the right to it.
But why also wasn't there another subpoena, another effort at interaction? Were they seeing a total stiff arm from the Trump people? That's not in this document yet. At least we can't see it.
Yeah, and that's the big question. Why fight so hard to hold on to these documents? What actually is in them? And what did he want to retain the possession of, and for what reason? And is their claim on it legitimate? Based on that. Bret, thank you very much. I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other throughout the course of the afternoon. I'll be back at 3 o'clock. And of course, Bret will be back on at 6 p.m. Covering all of this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.